Good afternoon. Welcome to the saw shop. Well, we're going to start a new series of videos, and I've seen a lot of these over the last few years, and had an opportunity to come across as you can see what it is. This is a Echo CS-4910. It's brand new. I come across the opportunity to get one. They ain't made these in several years. This saw was replaced by the 4920, but there was considerable changes between the 4910 and the 4920. I know they claimed better anti-vibe and a little more power, and comes with a purge bubble, and supposedly it's easier to crank, and a lot of those kind of things. But from a saw guy, from a man that likes power saws, the 4910 is a much better chainsaw platform than the 4920. Several things can be said in that vein. You know, you say, why is that? If they come out with a new one, shouldn't it be better? Well, maybe for the homeowner it might be, but the 4910 has a magnesium crankcase, full metal crankcase. It's designed and built on the platform of the 501P, which is a professional level chainsaw. For all intents and purposes, I guess you would call this a semi-pro saw, but I mean, it's still a professional chainsaw with the exception of a few differences from the 501. The side covers on this one are plastic, where the side covers on the 501P are metal. 501P has capture nuts on the clutch cover. This has the standard bar nuts on the clutch cover. And the top loop handle on the 501P is metal, and this one's plastic. Outside of that, it's the same chainsaw under the cover. The covers are a little bit different. 501P is pretty much an all orangish red, whatever color you want to call a Echo. I guess it's orange, but it's more red than like a Husky or Steel. But it's solid. This one is that color in black. Preference for me, I think the 4910 actually looks better as far as aesthetically. But for all intents and purposes, they're pretty much the same chainsaw. This one was just marketed more to a homeowner, but with some of the luxuries of a pro saw, at probably about a $200 difference in price. So people say, well, why did they quit making them and go to the 4920? I think because too many people was buying the 4910 and wasn't buying the 501. They were losing money. I mean, I've always said, if you want to know why, just follow the money. That's always been my saying, and I'll continue to say it with this. But anyway, let's see what's in here. Well, we got the instruction manuals. You know what guys do with instruction manual? That's what we do with them. It don't matter what we're doing. Chainsaw, building a swing set, putting a swimming pool together. We'll worry about the instruction manual when we got 75 parts and pieces left over at the end, wondering where they're supposed to go. Then we'll try to figure it out. But anyway, kind of like this, it already comes put together. And comes with a scratch. Pretty nice one at that. And comes with a bottle of oil, Echo oil. But it's pretty nice. It sure is nice that it has a thing on it, because the cap wasn't on it. That would have been a mess. But anyway, there that is. We'll stick that down there. I don't run the Echo oil. I mean, I do some like Red Armor, some of those sometimes. But different people run different stuff. People always ask kind of what I run. I run this majority of the time, the Husqvarna XP oil. But there's nothing wrong with this oil right here at all. I mean, I'm sure we'll use it at some point in time. But anyway, this is what it is. As you can see, this piece is plastic. This piece is plastic, and that's plastic. On the 501P, all those pieces are metal. And these are regular bar nuts instead of capture nuts. But I mean, all other things, it's same chainsaw. And let's see what kind of bar came on this one. I don't know if it came with an 18 or a 20. Looks like that might be a 20-inch on there. Let's see. Help if I could see that. Looks like it's 72 drive 325. So that's a 20-inch bar. And so what we're going to do is throughout this series, we're going to be doing several different things. We're going to be, I'm going to run it in stock form first. We'll put some fuel and oil in it, kind of do a few little break-in runs out in the yard, just kind of put some heat cycles on it first before we go and run it hard. Then we'll go out and we'll run it in some wood. I'll find a big enough piece I can do a whole bunch of different tests with it. But we're going to go out and we're going to run it in stock form. And then we're going to come back in. We're going to remove the limiter caps. And we're just going to tune the carburetor to optimal, what I feel like is optimal tuning for this saw. Still in the stock form, we'll go cut again with it. Then we're going to come back, we're going to pull this muffler off. We're going to port the muffler out, do this your basic port where you go in there and we'll take the deflector off, cut the deflector out so it can breathe. There's a pipe that goes in there, it'll just slide out. We'll pull that out. Fix this deflector so it's exhausting out the front, not out these little tiny holes over here on the side. We'll go over all that in the video. And then we'll go out and run it, and then we'll retune the carb for that. We'll go out and run it again. Then we'll come in and we'll do a full build on the saw. Port the cylinder head and everything, and then we'll go out and run it again. You'll see 4 different stages, kind of see time cuts for all 4 stages. And the reason I like to do that is for the basic homeowner, there's something, I mean, for the guy that can piddle in the shop just a little bit, he ain't got to know how to port a chainsaw to make one, to give it some gain. So I'm just I want to demonstrate what are some easy things to do. I mean, that's one of the things I often get is like, what can I do without spending a lot of money to make my saw go a little bit faster? And so that's what we're going to try to demonstrate on this saw. It's a good platform for it. I think these saws in their stock form somewhere in the 3.5 horse range. And I know I've seen dyno results watching videos on YouTube and stuff where they're getting 5.5 horses out of these saws. Dyno, that's a huge increase. I mean, you're talking a 60% increase or something, 50-60% increase. And I normally have always lived by the rule of thumb that I do more of what I call a good woods port, something that somebody could, you're not gonna go race it, but it's gonna give it really good power. And we're gonna go and you're gonna go cut firewood with it. You're gonna go play around with your buddies with it. You're gonna press your buddies, those kind of things. But and I've always lived from the rule of thumb about 30%. But that's probably the kind of port we're gonna do to this one, because everything I got, I mean, we have firewood business too, so everything I got's got to support that business as well. And so anyway, that's what it is. Echo, brand new Echo CS-4910, never been cranked, never had fuel, nothing in it. So I will, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and do some just break-in runs off camera. The next time we come back, we'll be on the wood yard. All right, have a good one. All right, well, I was going to go straight on out and do some test warm-up runs for this, break it in, but I thought, let's make a video and show everybody the first fire. I hadn't even pulled on it yet. I did get oil and get gas in it. So I'm just curious, how many pulls will it take to crank from right out of the box? Echoes tend to crank pretty fast, but now keep in mind this doesn't have a purge bubble on it. All right, we're gonna pull the choke out. We got it turned on, matching decomp. So let's see what we can do here. rattle over here on this side. Sound like I think it's actually coming from that little pipe in the muffler. Anyway, we'll see where it's coming from. But anyway, I think when I was pulling, I thought I heard it burp, but I said, I don't think I heard it burp. So I pulled it 2 or 3 more times, just about flooded it, but pushed it in. I got it running, but wasn't too bad. But we're gonna get it, like I said, we're gonna crank it up, let it sit out and run for a little while, let it do some break-in runs, and then we'll start our testing processes. All right, have a good one. All right, good morning. We've made it out to the wood yard with this 4910 project. As I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video, this is a bone stock, straight out of box run. Only thing I did was loosen, the chain was a little, well, it's a little loose now after I warmed it up, but it was extremely tight right out of the box. I did loosen the chain just a little bit, but I hadn't touched the carburetor. We just put fuel and oil in it and give it a few idle runs up there to kind of seat in the piston and the ring. But anyway, we're gonna be cutting in this, what this is about a 35-year-old pine that was grew on a sand hill, which makes it really tight grain. And it's been down a few months, so the bark's come off, but it's solid as all get out. Listen. So it's a solid piece of wood. This stuff got a lot of rosin in it on these sand hills, so this is gonna be a really hard piece. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be making 4 different time cuts in this wood at different stages of the project. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make a down cut, and make an up cut, and then I'm gonna make a dogged in cut. So it'll be 3 cuts in every stage. I got enough wood here that I'll be able to make every run in the same piece of wood. I won't be touching the chain. We'll just run it just like it is. It'll come off. We'll do what we need to do. I won't be sharpening it or anything between runs. All right, here we go. I've already got it warmed up. Well, in stock form, I'd say it's not a terrible saw. That chain is very aggressive on this thing for a stock chain. Grabbing a lot of wood, I could just feel it pulling against me. But that's the original chain that come on it. But it was really aggressive, and you can see it was cutting a big chunk. You can tell it didn't have quite enough power to want to go dog, and I didn't even really dog it hard, and it stalled it. So so now we're gonna go back up to the shop, and we're going to work on the limiter caps on it, because I can tell it's turning no RPM hardly. We're gonna lean that high speed up just a little bit and see if we can get the RPM range back, and we're gonna come back and make some cuts. All right, have a good one. All right, welcome back to the saw shop. All right, well, we went up, we got the limiter caps removed. I've adjusted it, tuned this carve out. I tested the high side before we removed the limiter caps, and about all I could get out of it was 11,200. It was set at 10.9 is what I cut on a while ago, but all I could get was 11.2. We took them off. I turned it all the way up with it in stock form where it would go from the 4-stroke to a true good runner was around 12,000, 12,001. So that's where we got it set for this cut. So we basically brought the high side RPM up to 1,100 RPMs. So we're gonna do the same cuts we did a while ago, down, up, dog in. Well, I don't know what the tape's gonna say, but as far as feel, I'm gonna say that's a definite improvement just by getting the carburetor set closer to where it needed to be. I could definitely tell when we went in for the dog end cut, she didn't fall on her face and stumble like she did before. But okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take and go up there to the shop. I'm gonna let it cool down just a few minutes. We're gonna pull the muffler off. We're gonna do a muffler port on it, and then we're gonna bring it back and run it again. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, welcome back. All right, so what we're doing now, took it up to the shop, and first thing we did is the intake manifold that the air filter horn has a little cross in there. So we took I took my grinder, my flexible grinder, and we took the cross out there to open up the air horn going in between the breather and the carburetor. And then I pulled off the muffler, and let me see if I can bring it in and kind of show you kind of what we've done. Took this deflector off right here. And inside of there's an insert that drops down in these mufflers, and it's a little pipe. Well, I just pulled that out. That leaves a much bigger hole there. And then I took my die grinder, and when it's stock, it just has these little holes, these little fins over here on the side. I opened this up right here. This was all sealed off. I grinded that out, and I folded these tabs back. So now I'm getting air out of here, here, and out of here. And it's probably a hole about the size of a dime in there behind that. So it's breathing much better than it did. And I retuned it. And just by the it went from just by the muffler, it went from like 12.1-ish, 12.2 on the high side to immediately it was reading. When I put it all back together, I did the muffler and air horn, it was reading 13.6. So I knew, and then man, it was screaming. I said, I just got to come down. So I backed it back down. It's at 13,000 now, and that's proof to what letting one breathe does to it. But let's I've already got it heated up, and let's make some cuts. I don't know, we'll see when we do the times, but that felt good. Felt pretty fast. But anyway, the last step we're gonna do a full port on this thing. All right, we'll catch you when we're done with that. All right, good afternoon. We got this saw ported, the CS-4910, and I wanted to come out and run it for you. We got there ported it. We wound up with 100-degree exhaust roof, 101 degrees at the bottom dead center on the intake. So we're at 160 on exhaust, 158 duration on the intake. The blowdown is 23 degrees. And the squish, we base gasket leaded, did a little bit of decking on the bottom of the base. But this piston has, it ain't a pop top, but it's like a rolling dome. And so I didn't want to go too far. Right around the edge of the squish bands, around 30 thousandths now. But I didn't want to go too far because I Play-Doh'd it, and we was getting pretty tight up in the combustion area. So we're gonna leave it right there. I've got it set, high side set. It was set in at 13,200 is what it liked. I had to richen it up to get there after porting it. So let's see how she does. I've already got it warmed up. I don't know until we check the tape. I mean, it may not be any faster, but it sure is fun to run. You can just throw that chain into it, and it would take whatever you could give it. So yeah, turned out a really nice saw. I see why people like these. This thing is, look here, one index finger. Ain't nothing to that saw. I think it's somewhere around, fully fueled and everything, I don't know. It can't be much over 10 pounds, eh? And then, I mean, they're just so easy to crank. But anyway, I like it. It'll be a pretty good little firewood cutting saw. All right, have a good one. All right, I want to wrap this up. Boy, the gnats, if you ain't never lived in the South and you don't know what a gnat is, oh, they're horrible this time of the year. They don't bite, which is a good thing, because if they did, it'd be as bad as Alaska and the mosquitoes. But they just drive you absolutely crazy. So if you see me swatting and all, that's what I'm doing. I got gnats. But so as you seen in the video, we run it in 4 different stages, and the purpose of this video was to really for the basic do-it-yourselfer. This is a saw. You can still pick these 4910s up off of eBay. You can find them sometimes, like on Facebook Marketplace, still in new condition. Or you can even pick one up that's like recent, you know, that's like new but used. But I found this one new off of eBay. I picked it up because I really wanted to play around with it and just show what a novice could do, and then show what somebody with a little more experience could do to this saw. But anyway, you can pick these saws up for, I don't know, I think that one was like $350 new to my house. But I mean, you can pick them up for all different kind of amounts of money. But what I wanted to do is go through the different stages. And have you seen in this video, something as small as just tuning a carburetor for optimal air fuel mixture makes a huge difference. I mean, that thing cut off probably, I don't know, I hadn't done the times yet. I'll put them up here when this video's out and you'll see. But probably in that, I think the original cut was somewhere around 20 seconds stock. And I think it got somewhere around like 16 seconds or so just by getting the fuel mixtures correct. Then we come back and we did a little bit more work. We probably knocked off a couple of seconds more by doing a little bit of muffler work. And then we might have cut off another second or two by porting it. The huge gains is not necessarily always in the porting of the saw as much as getting it just to breathe. The porting it is kind of like the icing on the cake, but you got to be able to bake the cake first. And these things are so congested. Emissions controls, thank our government for that. You have to buy a saw way bigger, heavier than you really want to get the kind of power that you need. But if you can just get them opened up and get them singing a little bit, that's something a lot of people can do. It really makes a difference. And believe it or not, people think, oh, I'm going to wear my saw out. Porting the chainsaw, porting the muffler, any of those things, they actually help the life expectancy of a chainsaw, because you're basically getting air out, getting that hot air out of there easier, faster. And anytime you do any work, you basically, you know, we talk about taking the limiter caps off. Well, a lot of people think it's where we can lean it on out. Sometimes that is, but in a lot of cases, once you port one, you need to richen it up because it's too lean and it's not going to build the right power in the cut that you need. It actually needs more fuel because you're putting more air into it. more air plus more fuel equals more power. And so that's what we're doing. And I don't know where this saw is now. I'd say we probably, it's probably 25 to 30%. It ain't, I didn't port it to be one of them 5.5 horse race saws that I see on YouTube and different things. I would say, I don't know, this one's about, I think it's about 3.5 to start with. I would say I'm somewhere 4 3/4 or so horsepower if I had to guess on this saw right now. But it's really fun to run. It might be 4.5 horse, but it's really fun to run. It is surprisingly powerful saw for not a lot of weight. So but anyway, have a good one. If I can ever help you, hit me up, AJ Saw Shop. Have a good one.